blessings. Name of the Most High God. How is everybody doing? Well, just wanted to come on here for a quick second and tell everybody, as you get prepared, your hearts and minds prepared for old Satan claws, just keep one thing in mind. Christmas has absolutely nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, to do with the birth of Christ or anything along those lines. We must remember that. You know, at some point in the game, we have got to turn away from wickedness. We have got to educate ourselves in a thorough and concise manner and stop adopting the actions of pagan worship. It is imperative. Your souls depend on it. Can't be sitting up here you know, portraying the role of a believer when in the Word of God, in several places in the book, it discusses about not, in being engaged in idol worship, not cutting down trees and decorating them, and then we're gonna put on this sideshow actions, and then we call it being in the holiday spirit. This is pagan worship. This is Edomite worship. So, you gotta understand the con artistry job that Esau has put on the people. And then we gotta turn away from this. This has absolutely nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, to do with the birth of Christ. Well, what do you mean? We're celebrating the birth of Jesus. His name's not Jesus. It's Yeshua, Mashiach. And that has nothing to do with Islam either, for those that out there who might be under the bizarre assumption that that's something to do with Islam. In a nutshell, Islam is Satan worship also. Same as the Catholic Church, which the Catholic Church was the first beast in the Bible that was injured and then was healed. The Smith dude and the Seventh-day Adventist, Satan worship. All these things are paying homage to Samael, Satan, the God here on earth. Remember Kal-El, Superman? Where do you think they got that from? All one has to do is just think about it for a second. Kal-El. That's your God jolly old Satan claws. You better know it. You better understand it. And you better recognize it for what it is. Open that book up, find it, and read it. Because going into this next segment, into this next season, because see, it's really, the year is not about to be 2026, okay? That is not the real year. We're almost to the 6,000 year mark. We're getting close. It's the year 5,000 something. I gotta recheck the old ancient Hebrew calendar. We are still under that calendar, folks. Higher, which is the Most High God, his calendar doesn't change ever. You know, the seasons, they don't change. See, this con artistry job and calendar that they've done concocted, that's why they've got leap years. They got all this fraudulent madness incorporated. So busy trying to, you know, it's just mind-blowing. But yeah, calendar is wrong. The map is wrong. The earth cannot be measured by mere men. It says that in the Word of God. You know, we're always sitting up here talking about what the Word of God says, but no one ever wants to focus on the parts, you know what I mean, that validate things like what I'm talking about right now. They conveniently go around them, and then they'll say things like, oh, well, that doesn't matter. The Lord knows your heart. You know, they'll say something to that effect. Like, nah, every single thing in that book matters. The book of Jasher matters. You know, that was another book taken out. And it even talks about it in the Bible, about referring to the book of Jasher. It's another important book. It's a book on the same level as Enoch. So, you know, we got to study these things. We got to discontinue sitting up here putting hours on top of hours on top of hours into mindless television programs that serve no purpose. You know, there's so many people out here doing that, and all it does is that light that's in you, it dims it. You know, there's so many people needing more oil in their lamp. I definitely need more oil in my lamp. I'm telling you that right now. Because just being around certain individuals who are operating at such a low level of frequency, they'll bring the level of your frequency down just being around them. You know, these people never want to try to do anything. They're just so comfortable living in their little bubble. And it's like, you can do all the trying all day, every day, trying to wake these individuals up to what's really going on. But every time you put something on educational, something that's going to be conducive to their soul, they don't want to pay attention. But you will put something else on that don't mean squat dilly, and they all about it. You know, when I watch programs, I'm in dissection mode, and I automatically apply it to the Word of God and to the deceptions that's been incorporated in our world. And you can see everything. It don't matter what you watch. You're going to get something out of it if you apply it correctly and adequately to the Word of God. It's inevitable. You know, we are at war, people. This type of warfare is critical. You know, but there's people out there, you know, they laugh, smirk, and giggle, think everything is funny. But when you on that day of judgment, all those who refuse to turn away from the Jesus title, get away from me, for I have never known you. Ooh, to the woo-wee. Smoking hot glutealville awaits. Straight up. Glutealville is prevalent. You know why? Oh yeah. Cause we just refuse. We just gonna keep calling him Jesus anyway. When we sit here and we inform people of the true names, you know, they want to act like it doesn't matter. You know, tell you folks, names don't translate. You know, that's like your name is Billy Schmo. You know, who am I to come along and be like, oh, I'm gonna call you Rectum Wreckage Avenue, and your name is Billy Schmo, but I'm gonna call you Rectum Wreckage. Not only is it disrespectful, but it's wrong, and it's adequately wrong. So, you know, we need to keep those things in mind. This is a war. We've already won this war. It states it in the Word of God. But you gotta finish the race. You gotta keep it popping and cracking. Ain't no time for half measures. If we're gonna do it for real, and do it with everything in you. And that goes for me especially. When I come on here and extenuate these messages, you know, I'm not coming, you know, as some gimmick. You know, there's a lot of people out here, they want to take the chosen one's thing and use it to their advantage, you know, pumping their agenda to fatten up their pockets, all while putting on a Pharisee show, you know, on a major level. If you a true chosen one, yeah, traffic will stop for you on a dime and they'll move out your way. If you a true chosen one, you go to the barber shop, the clippers will cut the hair without the barber because you're the true chosen one. You're a magical being, a genie in a bottle. You know, they'll say things like that, literally. So, we got to remember that, folks. We got to remember that. So be careful. Because Christmas is not what you think it is. It's paying homage to Samael, Satan. You know, that's his name, Samael. You know, it's got that L on it. So, you know, you gotta study to show thyself approved. We can't just study to show thyself on a level of convenience along the lines of pumping our agenda. We gotta stop that mess. Can you dig it? Dig it. With that being to the CZ, you know, I just wanted to come on real quick, you know, while everybody's getting, you know, racking their brains in panic mode about the last remaining gifts that they're getting ready to get. You know, and I'm not talking about them, you know. Ignorance is truly bliss. But it's time to come about that ignorance because time isn't of the essence. And don't ever allow nobody to try to force it down your gullet. You know, I've got people trying to force it down mine. You know, I'm not forcing my beliefs down their gullet, but they already know what my belief system is, but they still slickly and in a roundabout way trying to pump their little Christmas doctrine. And it's sad. It's sad that the Word of God gives a distinct description about what to stay away from and what not to do. But then we'll come along because we're thinking we're doing something cool. Oh, we're celebrating the birth of Christ. No, you ain't. You celebrating Samael and Krampus. But you know, hey, don't go to Glutealville with diesel fuel on them cheeks, okay? All right. With that being said, y'all have a marvelous evening. God bless you all. Shalom.